Hello students, in previous lecture we have studied or proved the few properties which is related with the parallelogram, that is the properties which is given in the test for parallelogram. Then today we are going to prove few more properties which is related with the parallelogram, that is which is given in the test for parallelogram. The third one property which is given in the test for parallelogram, that is if diagonals of quadrilateral bisect each other, then it is a parallelogram. Then see here one of the quadrilateral which is given here, that is quadrilateral A, B, C, D, and the diagonals of those quadrilaterals which is also given here, which intersect in point O. But here also we don't know whether that quadrilateral is parallelogram. We have to decide that the given quadrilateral is parallelogram. We have to determine this quadrilateral is a parallelogram by given condition. Then here the given condition, first of all we have to write that given property in the given point, that is see here in quadrilateral A, B, C, D, that means here only quadrilateral is given here in which AC is a diagonal and BD is a diagonal, and those two diagonals intersect in point O, and those see here OD congruent OB and here OA congruent OC, that means those diagonals are bisector of each other. That means see here diagonal AC and diagonal BD intersect at point O. See here both diagonal intersect at point O, and here in this quadrilateral diagonals of this quadrilateral bisect each other. That means here that point is also we have to write in the given, that is those diagonals are bisector of each other. That means AC is a bisector of DB. That means here OD congruent OB, and here BD is a bisector of AC diagonal. Therefore here OA congruent OC, that means here OA and OC are congruent, therefore BD diagonal is a bisector of AC. That means here both diagonals are bisector of each other. That means those diagonals bisect to each other. Therefore that quadrilateral is parallelogram. We have to prove this property. Therefore that property we have to write it into to prove that quadrilateral ABCD is a parallelogram. Then see here we have to prove this property by given few conditions here. Then we have to focus on this figure. Then see here there are few triangles are formed because of that two diagonals angles. See here I have marked those triangles as 1 and 2. Then you have to focus on those triangles. Then see here in quadrilateral ABCD, here OD congruent OB and OA congruent OC, and here in triangle AOB, in triangle AOB and triangle COD. COD. See here, in those two triangles, OA of this triangle is congruent with OC of second triangle. That is here OA congruent OC, because which is given property. Similarly, OB of AOB triangle is congruent with OD. That is also, see here, that is also given. This property is also given. And see here again, here this angle and this angle, those angles are vertically opposite angles, and vertically opposite angles are always congruent. That property which we have seen in the first topic, that is basic concepts in geometry. Then see here, angle AOB congruent angle COD. Congruent angle COD. Then see here, those two triangles are congruent. Triangle AOB congruent triangle COD here by SAS test. SAS test. Then see here, the angle, corresponding angle, that is angle here BAO of triangle AOB, and here angle OCD or DCO are also congruent. Therefore, angle BAO congruent angle here DCO, because corresponding angles of congruent triangle. Then see here, those two triangles are, that is alternate angles, because here if considered AB and CD are the two lines of which transversal is AC. If here, therefore here AB parallel CD. It is because of, let this equation number 1, it is because of alternate angle test. Alternate angle test. Similarly, see here, similarly we can prove that, see here, now focus on this triangle. See here, now triangle AOD and triangle here, triangle COB. Then see here, in triangle AOD and triangle COB, in which OA congruent OC, OA congruent OC, OD congruent OB, OD congruent OB, because those property which are given. And here this angle and this angle, those are vertically opposite angles which are congruent angles. Therefore, angle AOD congruent angle COB, that is vertically opposite angles. Therefore, triangle AOD congruent triangle COB by SAS test. Therefore, here, see here, those two triangles are congruent. Therefore, this angle and that is angle CBO and angle ADO are congruent. Angle CBO congruent angle, that is ADO corresponding angles of congruent triangle. Then see here, those angles are also alternate angles. Those are also alternate angles, and therefore here AD parallel BC. Therefore here AD parallel BC, because here let this equation number 2, and that is because of alternate angle test. Alternate angle test. Then see here equation number 1, which indicates that AB parallel CD. AB parallel CD, and equation number from 2, AD parallel BC. Therefore, here from equation 1 and 2, that is AD parallel BC and AB parallel CD, that means quadrilateral ABCD is a parallelogram. It is a parallelogram. That is we have proved that ABCD quadrilateral is a parallelogram if, because its diagonals are bisector of each other. That means if diagonals of any quadrilateral is a bisector of each other, then that quadrilateral is parallelogram. That is the one of the test for parallelogram. Then we will discuss one more theorem that is given in the test for parallelogram. That is given in the test for parallelogram. Then see here that property, that is if one pair of opposite side of quadrilateral. Then see here the quadrilateral ABCD is given here, of which only one pair of opposite side, that is AD and BC, is the only one pair of opposite side is parallel to each other as well as they are congruent. That means here the property which is given here, that is written in given, that is in quadrilateral ABCD AD congruent BC as well as and AD parallel BC. That means here AD and BC parallel to each other as well as they are congruent to each other. That means AD congruent BC. Then it is a parallelogram. We have to prove that it is a parallelogram. Then we have to prove that quadrilateral ABCD is a parallelogram. Then see here we have to do the construction for it. We have to draw the diagonal BD to prove this property, that is ABCD is a parallelogram. Then construction which is done here, that is construction. Here diagonal BD is drawn. Diagonal BD is drawn here. Therefore, there are two triangles are formed. Then we have to prove that those two triangles are congruent. Then see here, we have to prove this property using the property which is given here. That means see here, in quadrilateral ABCD, here AD congruent BC is given here, as well as AD parallel BC is also given here. Then because of diagonal, there are two triangles are formed. Then see here, in triangle ABD and triangle CDB. In those two triangles, AD congruent BC, that means the side AD of triangle ABD and the side BC of triangle CDB are congruent. Therefore, here AD congruent BC, because it is given. See here, which is given here, AD congruent BC. Then see here, BD of this triangle and BD of this triangle, that means which is a common side. Therefore, here BD congruent BD, that is common side. And see here, AD parallel BC, which is given here, and transversal BD if considered. Then see here, AD parallel BC and here transversal BD is considered. Therefore, this angle and this angle, that is ADB of this triangle and angle CBD of this triangle are congruent. Therefore, angle ADB congruent angle CBD which are congruent because those are alternate angles, because here AD parallel BC is given here and transversal BD is considered here. Transversal BD is considered here. Then see here, those two triangles are congruent. Therefore, triangle ABD congruent triangle CDB by SAS test. See here, side angle side, that is SAS angle test, or that is by this test those two triangles are congruent. Therefore, see here, we have to prove this, that is here this angle of triangle ABD and this angle of triangle CDB are also congruent, because those are corresponding angles of congruent triangle. Therefore, angle ABD congruent angle CDB, because corresponding angles of congruent triangle. Then see here, those two triangles are congruent. but those are alternate angles which is formed by line AB and CD and transversal BD. Then therefore here the AB parallel CD. Therefore here AB parallel CD by considering angle ABD congruent angle CDB, because by alternate angle test, and here already AD parallel BC which is given. Let us consider that equation number 1, and here now we proved that AB parallel CD, that is equation number 2. Then see here, from equation 1 and 2, see here AD parallel BC which is already given here, and we prove that AB parallel CD here, AB parallel CD. Therefore quadrilateral ABCD is a parallelogram. It is a parallelogram. Is a parallelogram. That is the proof of that one property which is given under test for parallelogram. Then we can solve the examples which is related with those 4 theorems which is given in the test for parallelogram from practice set 5.2. Then you should try to solve the examples from practice set 5.2, as well as you should write those theorems which is given in the test for parallelogram in your notebook. Thank you.